Talk of Town. We are here under the series Beyond Boundaries, having conversations with subject matter experts. And of course, in this episode, we are focusing entrepreneurship as our topic. So, if you're an entrepreneur or budding entrepreneur, the discussions here would be useful for you. As usual, I have three stalwarts. I have with me Mr. Charan, a corporate brand consultant, Mr. Sarvotham, a corporate law consultant, and Mr. Muralikrishnan, a startup advisor. Welcome all of you for this episode.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Ellen.
The talk of the town today, these days, of course, at least, has been Dhoni applying for a trademark, right? Across all news channels, across all portals. This has been the topic, at least for the last couple of days. So I would like to start with this, Sarvotham. So when we talk about trademark, as a layman, what can be trademarked? If you can throw some light on it.
Sure. Ellen, if I can give you an example through which we can try to understand. Let's say you go to a store, you buy a water bottle. Then the shopkeeper gives you the water bottle, which is transparent in color. There is green wrapper and green cap. The moment you see, you will assume it to be Bisleri, right? The moment you see the label, it is spelled as Bilseri, Bilseri, with a different spelling. It's camouflaged as if it is shown as Bisleri. So that way we can identify the name can be trademarked and the color combination can be trademarked, because the Cadbury's it's always purple in color, the dark blue and the purple in color. So just by the wrapper without names, you can actually identify the product. And also sometimes the Crocs with specific 13 holes clogs, you can identify without being named anywhere. So that way, if this makes sense, this is how the trademarks have been recognized over a period of time. Trademarks, in fact, is probably the oldest known intellectual property to human. So from when the coins were used by kingdoms from centuries. So coming back, so now what through this example, what we can understand is the name, the word mark, and that means the name Samsung, which is written in a particular font, it is a word mark. There is actually no logo. Compared to Apple, where half-eaten apple is shown without writing any names. So that way, logo is subject to a trademark. Word mark, which is the name itself, is subject to a trademark. The color combination and the particular product design, how it is produced, can also be trademarked. Interestingly, the 5-tone Paytm noise that you make, let's say you buy that Bisleri bottle and you make payment through Paytm, there is a 5-tone which plays. That tone can also be trademarked.
Interesting.
But interestingly, US and other developed economies from the West recognizes smell as trademark, but unfortunately India does not recognize, Indian law does not recognize smell as a trademark, because we have been growing with all the spices and varied kind of smells, and we are particularly not keen on recognizing any particular smell to particular product. So that way, name, word mark, logo, which is called device in the trademark parlance, and the design and also the sound, which can be trademarked under Indian law.
Got it. So typically, if I'm an entrepreneur, I wish to trademark one of the three, four things that you mentioned. What is the process and what's the typical duration it takes to get the approvals from the respective body?
Right. What happens is, first things first, what we do is we will have to first make a search to identify if there is any similar or conflicting marks, because day in day out we see too many people making cases that we are infringing their mark and all that. So to identify that there is no conflict, and there is again, if we dive deeper into the subject, there is something called classes through which various activities are segregated into. Manufacturing is from 1 to 34, and then services is from 35 to 43. So let's say you are into medical device manufacturing.
Okay.
I'm into business consulting. Two different categories of activities. So can I register one mark in two different categories by two different entrepreneurs? Yes, you can, provided there is no overlap. But if it is strikingly similar, if there is going to be any kind of deceive that the user is going to have in mind, then this may not be allowed. So
So
we'll
is
have
it
to see.
a subject matter of interpretation?
Yes, yes, it is subject matter of interpretation, and final approval is again discretion of the registrar, trademark registrar.
Okay.
So we will have to go through all this while we do search, and once we are clear that okay, this the amount of overlap or potential conflict is too less, we can never discount it to be 100%. It can never be, because somewhere in some corner of India, somebody would have registered this kind of mark or this kind of logo. So that way we will have to be sure that 90-95% there is no objection which we can expect. Then we make the application. Application will be first scrutinized by the back office, which is the trademark registry. Then it will be put up for journal publication, inviting public comments.
Right.
So the duration of that publication is about 4 to 5 months. So after the journal publication duration is over, and assuming there is no objection raised by any of the public or any of the user who has potentially any claim on similar mark, so if those things are cleared, then the registry will take it up as advertised and accepted. That is what has come in the case of Captain Cool. It is currently accepted and advertised. That means journal publication is over. There is no public comments. So after this, final approval will be given, and a trademark certificate will be issued. The total duration, because the journal publication itself is somewhere between 4 to 5 months, we can safely say between 6 to 8 months in the best case. Worst case, it can go up to years, depending on various factors. If there is objections, there will be hearings conducted, and if there is hearings, there will be appeals, filing of affidavit. So it will go on for some time. Even in those cases, 2 to 2.5 years is kind of timeline that we can look at.
Got it. Got it. So you did mention about these, identities, right? Like Bisleri and the likes. So just by looking at it, the color combination, we can make out that this is going to be this company, right? Similarly, a person can have his identity. A corporate can have an identity, right? So Charan, coming to you, how do you create this identity? That's your role as a brand consultant, right? So, how do you differentiate between personal branding and corporate branding?
See, usually, in a very broader sense, okay, a personal branding has different objectives. Okay, so what is your goal towards building your personal brand is the key aspect towards it. For example, when it comes to a personal brand, you can build it for you even if you don't have a business. Like, you are an individual who is working at an organization and you want to have a personal brand for yourself for better visibility, better prospects, and better career opportunities and growth, so on and so forth. So that is also a way of doing personal brand. This is one category of it. There's another category which a lot of people may know, but they don't call it as personal branding, but more about calling it as reputation management for celebrities.
Yeah,
So that is also an individual, but then the idea around it is maintaining and managing the way they are perceived in the public domain, as opposed to whatever that they are doing in their movies and etc., which could be sometimes aiding the promotion of the movie, or outside of a context of a movie, basically building a persona about them in the public discourse. These are all personal branding as well. Okay,
right.
but when it comes to a corporate setting of it, where you are typically a founding member, or you are typically a C-level stakeholder of an organization, then the personal branding is more towards how am I going to utilize my competency or my area of expertise in creating a visibility for the organization that I am building. For example, for small businesses, let's say, like they are usually in the period of 1 to 6 to 7 years of their existence. More often than not, what typically happens is the people who are building these organizations, they probably carry around 10 years of professional experience prior to them starting out something on their own, or bare minimal 3 to 4 years of experience. Okay,
Yeah,
then they are looking at building a corporate brand, or they are looking at building a company, registering it as a proprietorship or LLP or whatever the structure. Okay, so now the challenge or the mistake that a lot of people do is they keep aside the goodwill that they have generated out of their own personal experience and personal reputation,
Yeah.
They keep that aside and they try to start building a new brand, a new entity on their own from scratch, which you actually don't have to do, wherein you always can take the head start from your own professional experience. Let's say if you are a person who is building a software product, then probably if you had a prior experience working as a software architect in an organization, a lot of people will already have a very good reputation about you as your skill. So now, if you are positioning yourself in the context of me being the person who is building the software product now, having accumulated so much of experience and knowledge in the domain and identifying a clear problem that I can solve, then it gives a very good credibility for the organization that you are building as a head start itself. So that is something which is important to leverage if you are in the very early stage of it, where whatever the brand name that you have, it has no visibility or no value in the public domain until it takes many years of public acceptance. So this is something which people can utilize for doing it. And one common difference between a celebrity personal branding and the other two categories of entrepreneur personal branding and working professional personal branding is, in the celebrity aspect of it, the personal branding is more to do with what I should avoid from the public discourse. I don't want people to know this about me. So more largely the branding or the reputation management revolves around what I don't want people to know about me because they are celebrities. Okay.
Yeah.
But when it comes to people like professionals and entrepreneurs, what they actually want the people to know about them is the primary objective. That's a kind of a clear differentiation there, Alan.
Interesting. So it's a positive list vis-a-vis a negative list in case of a celebrity.
Absolutely.
See, in most cases, when we look at this branding exercise, so today, entrepreneurs at large, there's a cash burn, and the resultant of it is, fundraising, right? So there are many rounds of fundraising that an entrepreneur goes through. Uh, so. Murli sir, coming to you, when we talk about equity fundraise as an entrepreneur, irrespective of the stage of their career or irrespective of their vintage in their business, from a investor standpoint, can you give us the important aspects that the entrepreneur has to keep in mind while going for a equity fundraise?
Sure, Alan. See, from investors, investors also different kind of investors. Individual who is having surplus funds where you can invest to in a company, or a private equity institutional investment like private equity or venture capital are all institutional investments. And
Correct.
also you have family offices for equity. There may be some more categories, but by and large, 80% of the industry comes into these three categories,
True.
right? All of them look at one particular thing, that if they are investing into a bank as a fixed deposit, or they invest into equity through mutual fund or direct route, the returns are going to be somewhere between 6.5 7% as low. On a higher side, average about 16 17% when it comes to equity, right? This is the range. So the money which is getting invested in any idea, it should be more than this range,
Correct.
right? Typically, it's logically it makes sense for the investor, which means the company should have potential to earn this much,
Yep.
right? This is number one. Number two, when they are looking for such returns, which means the company should have basic things in place. The promoters, irrespective of which stage, their idea, industry, right? So they look at certain parameters. I want to talk two things which is very relevant, and generally these points are not discussed in public.
Okay.
One, the company, are you into, say, are you going to create market share? There is no market and you are going to launch a new product, right? For example, in electric vehicle, few years back, it's a new market for all of us,
Correct.
right? So like Ola scooter. It was a new market for all of us, right? In that segment. So that is something, there's no market for it. You are creating a new market. Today, in terms of lithium batteries or some of these segments, we're actually creating the market potential is more. There are a lot of players coming into, in the industry, right?
Yep.
This is one thing. The other example is there are already a big market. You are going to share some of this, portion of the market share. For example, if let's say Zepto or somebody is in quick delivery service, right? And you are also launching your company.
Yep.
So you may think that the market is so big, demand is so big, and supply side is still there is potential to start some company. And with some variant that I'm going to give this service, I'm going to get there. Maybe you can reduce cost, and you are also going to play in this market. Both are possible in different industries, right? Irrespective of what stage and this kind of whether you are creating market share or you are going to share the existing market, right? What is your pitch? How are you going to do? Is the company is having clarity, and is the systems and procedures are there? Is the company compliant?
Yep.
And then is there any growth opportunity in line with this targeted returns?
Okay.
So this is what an investor will look at.
Got it. Got it.
So just to
So,
summarize, they will look at promoters, systems and procedures, complaints, and which kind of type of business you are into, apart from revenue stage, pre-revenue stage, whatever.
got
Right?
it. Got it. I mean, very useful inputs on this front, sir. Charan, coming back to you, right? If I'm an entrepreneur, there's always this fight within me whether I should spend on personal branding or should I spend on corporate branding. As a brand consultant, what is your take? What should be given priority, or is it like a railway track to be done parallelly? And what is the method to this process of getting both done?
See, just taking off from where I left on the previous question that you shared, Ellen, where you are as an organization that you are building in your journey, that actually determines where you need to put a lot of focus on. Basically, let's do an exercise. If I am an entrepreneur, I need to do an exercise, a very honest exercise for myself. Um, Today, if I'm going into the market trying to provide a service or a product, okay, what is the sellability factor? Is it me that is able to convince somebody to buy my product for the whatever the stage that I am in my business journey, or is it my brand that is going to make a product or a service being taken by somebody? So depending on the stage that we are in, whichever is going to have a higher potential for the business to happen or convert, we need to bet on that to start with. See, usually the part is people would generally want to take the service for the person that they know, or buy the product for the person who's building it, because they have a certain kind of belief or a certain kind of exposure to the person there, so they want to do that. So if you're very early there, uh, put a focus towards building a visibility or building a traction around what you are doing, and creating a expectation or a curiosity amongst the potential target audience on what you're doing through yourself, okay. And a little investment on setting the foundation and basic rights for the basics right for the corporate brand is very important in the parallel. So you go a little bit aggressive on building your personal brand initially, but set the basics right. So you have a name, then you set the colors, set the tone, set the font, set the language, all the basics that are needed for the corporate brand, that needs to be set in a very what you call undertone manner, but
Okay.
from a aggressive visibility standpoint, more of the person. Then slowly there's a transition that happens where you this is more the personal brand is more put on an autopilot mode. So there is a level that it reaches where beyond which you don't have to do anything really aggressive for the personal brand, because the corporate brand has started taking precedence, and it has started attracting people, and also started having its own measure of goodwill that is getting generated. So then we need to start doubling down on building the ecosystem for that. And Then now with both the things happening, then now it comes to the aspect of the persona of the founder. So if the persona of the founder is like, I am very outgoing, I can I can speak in front of the camera, I can speak to people, I'm more of a people person, then you need to look at utilizing that to your advantage. I just want to take the example of again Zomato versus Swiggy. So many people know the founder of Zomato. How
Yeah.
many people even know who is the founder of Swiggy, right? It's not a chance. It's not a by chance they are doing that. It is a conscious decision that the founders of Swiggy are wanting to stay away from the limelight and focus it towards the corporate brand of it. Wherein the founders of Zomato, they are taking a very conscious decision. I have a visibility as Dipinder, and there is a perspective that I'm continuously going on building towards my personal branding, and of course there is something to do with my corporate brand as well. These are all clear decisions based on the strengths and the vision of the respective founders that they are building as well. But to start with the founder, then go on towards the corporate is the way to go actually.
Okay, okay. Interestingly, the branding exercise, Sarvotham, coming to you, it's very closely kind of connected to the trademark discussion we had a little while earlier. From your point of view, as a corporate law professional, do you think the exercise of getting into trademark or getting something trademark is going to give the brand visibility or enhance the brand at all, from your point of view?
Okay. I don't think registration per se will have a bearing on the brand image as such. Brand registration will only give you legal protection from against third parties who would clandestinely use it at a subsequent stage. So let's say you are too early to be copied, nobody bothers. You are too big, like Reliance or something. Nobody even dares to do it. But when you are in the growth stage, that is when you will see a lot of players who would try to copy, or let's say you are too big a luxury item, where luxury brands like Rolex or Pumas, or we see it even on the footpaths, those brands. So those brands don't even care that they're so big. So but coming back, those growth stage companies or the brands, that is when this protection is or will become more important in identifying whether this really is required to be protected or not.
Okay. So again, a typical question. So some of the entrepreneurs might think this way. So, um, assuming your particular logo or your tagline can be easily copied, right? Getting getting yourself getting it trademarked, is the entrepreneur opening an earning possibility in the future by getting it trademarked,
Yes, certainly, because uh, Jubilant Foods owns the Domino's trademark in India,
right?
or it has been allowed to use Domino's, but the Domino's original trademark belongs to this US company. Do you think Jubilant pays only for the food and those sales that are being made? No, they also pay royalty to the US company for using the brand Domino's. So it depends on whether you are in foreign market or you are making sales in domestic market. The foreign exchange laws and the income tax laws, both of them allow you to make payments as royalty for allowing others to make use. Similar thing happens when you open a franchise. Let's say you open a Toyota car brand franchise. The sales invoice includes the royalty which is required to be paid by the showroom to the company. So wherever you go, the franchise, whenever you make use of any other brand, there will be this component of royalty. But of course, it's the choice of the trademark owner to charge it or not. So
Okay.
it is actually a very pertinent question to see if there is any earning possibility. Definitely, there is earning possibility.
Okay, so that's another angle for the entrepreneurs who are watching this episode. So, trademark is not only for protection, but there's also a revenue stream which is possible in future. Should somebody else copy it, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, Charan, coming back to you, we discussed about the personal branding vis-a-vis corporate branding. So, can we generalize that somebody who's into professional service or service per se has to give more weightage to personal branding, and somebody who's into products, they should be giving more weightage to the corporate branding? Does it? Is this the way how it works, or we cannot generalize it?
See, usually we cannot generalize it that way. Okay. Um, again, again, for a person who is delivering a service, you can take example of Byju's. Okay. So Byju's was largely built on Byju,
Right.
the individual. Then the curriculum, the team, the process, the methodology, the partnerships, the angle, those all came later. Okay, but then the investment and the even the name itself. So it was completely based on that one individual's potential. He's into the service industry, so he was providing education as a service, and and then he tried to productize, and whatever the things that happened, those are all different things. But the core is, when you are into a service industry, we need to see in what size and scale that we are looking at penetrating the market, and for that, which is going to be our what you call our strategic investment in terms of building the visibility. Is it going to be the individual who's betting on? So what Byju's did, probably another brand did not do. So Byju's approach was their thought process to that. But if you look at a different a competitor to Byju's, they didn't go by that. Vedantu, they didn't go by the individual. They are a different way. They went with the corporate identity of it. Even in a service itself, it is a very conscious choice again, which one to focus on. But when it comes to a product company, it is always the product that is going to make the sale or make the business grow. But then sometimes when you are, as Muralikrishnan sir was telling about, in what situation you are entering into a market. If it is a very greenfield market, then you have a lot of leeway to play around in whichever way you feel like. If it is a very overcrowded market, okay, then you need to see, how am I going to penetrate this? Am I going to penetrate this just through the product, or am I going to penetrate this market through my personal journey of breaking into this market, because of why I'm coming into the picture, irrespective of so many players there. So those decisions are very critical in terms of it, and the results and dividends will work accordingly, actually.
So looking at it, it looks like, for an entrepreneur, it is best to, sit across a table with the concerned expert, decide on a case-to-case basis what he or she wants to do.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to go.
Absolutely.
Murli sir, I mean, coming to you again, we did talk about the equity funding from the investor standpoint. So as an investor today, I can directly invest in a startup identified by me or through my team or my chartered accountant or my startup advisor, whoever it is. Second, I can invest in startups through, say, alternate investments. I can invest in startups through family offices, right? And I can also invest in startups through a lot of new age portals which have come up. What is the right way of doing it?
See, if you know the promoters to a larger extent, okay, if I know the promoter and the industry, if you like it, going directly is preferable. But some of this institutional, like AAF,
Right?
so there is a professional advisory behind that, and we can utilize professional expertise in terms of choosing the company.
Right.
So answer is, if I know the company, if I know the promoters very well, I can directly invest. If I don't, and if I want diversification there also, I can choose the alternative routes of going through either AAF or any other alternative channels to reach or invest into startups.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Another interesting data which I was going through recently, sir, especially in the equity funding space, that the dynamics are almost changing on an annual basis. Uh, it's that volatile, and we are increasingly seeing, at least for the last many months now, that only the company should not only be revenue generating, but people also are expecting it to be EBITDA positive. So it was not the case 4 years or 5 years or even 3 years ago.
Yes,
So your
yes.
thoughts on this, sir?
So from investor point of view, yes, they are right because there is a stage that this market is little matured now. There are a lot of data points available whether this industry or a particular company will survive or not. A lot of data points are already available. So investors' point of view, they don't want to take much of risk. Betting on the completely as a company which is starting from the scratch. Whereas these are all the earlier the terminology used is a proof of concept and all. The proof of concept earlier was if the suppose there's a product development company, if it is working, it's already a proof of concept is proved. Today, proof of concept is proven only by way of revenue.
Correct.
Should reflect in the books, right? So these are all changes happening in the industry. Having said that, still there are companies getting just pre-revenue stages. Some of these technology guys, there are options. There are there are companies getting investment, but purely depends on the idea, what stage of the product development, who are all behind the the promoters background, what kind of traction they are building. I'm working with a company right now who are into in healthcare software side. So they're adding lot of features in the product so patient can get some 50 informations in a single window. So these companies working and there are larger companies assisting them in terms of funding. The big brands are supporting them. So
Okay.
some kind of developments happening, but these are all very rare in the industry. So I am not saying you will get for every industry, right?
Got it.
Having said that, the small companies which are having revenues but not having profit, they are also getting investments. In fact, that is the easy space right now because you have proven that your concept is working. The company needs help on working capital
Right.
and maybe a little bit of capex. So, moment they get support system in traction, there is a confidence that the company can grow further. If the company is able to prove that in a logical way, still you can get funding.
Got it.
The
So
challenge where these companies are facing today is maybe this is something both investor and company, the industry is working on is on the valuation part,
right.
right? How much to liquidate today when the early stage, what kind of because the valuation done on based on projections. So validation of those projections. So there is some amount of understanding and clarity is still needed to get a right valuation and get right kind of funding with the right kind of liquidation.
Excellent, sir.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very useful inputs. Sarvotham, a very short question. So, who is a preferred client for a trademark? Is it a person who is just starting off, just has an idea, uh, just ready with the logo and the tagline, or an established entrepreneur who's been in this space for some time?
Okay. In that case, I would say who has been in the market, who has been an established entrepreneur, would be an ideal applicant for a trademark because just the idea or rather an intent to use that brand is not really a ground to apply for a trademark under law. If I can give you that example, if somebody has registered a trademark and does not used it for 5 years, the government is entitled to revoke the registration. So that means you need to have commercial presence through your brand. So that way, somebody who is just having an intention of doing or carrying out business in subsequent date may not be the ideal way of looking at it, or rather, somebody who has been there or is using it commercially can be the right candidate to apply for trademark.
Okay, Charan, a similar question to you. So, when it comes to personal branding, oblique corporate branding, uh, who is the ideal client to work with? Somebody is just starting off. I mean, setting aside the commercial aspects, assuming everybody is able to afford. Somebody who's starting off, or somebody who is already having a vintage.
See, for building a personal brand, somebody who's starting off is the right time to utilize that. But for a corporate brand, it can be very strategic. Somebody who's 1 year into it, 2 years into it, whatever the stage that you are in, because these are all not something like you start today and its goal is achieved in 3 months or 6 months. It's a longer process, right? So for the corporate brand, the journey is comparatively longer, and you can do it at a later stage as well, depending on your organization's operating space and your wanting to go for visibility as well. Personal branding, the earlier the sooner the better.
Okay. Lastly, Murli sir, a tricky question. You prefer equity funding or debt funding? Where does your heart lie?
For a quick closure, I would prefer debt funding. If it's for slightly longer and where the larger chunk also, I would prefer equity. Having said that, when it comes to funding, equity and debt are my both eyes of mine. So I would treat them both equally.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing such wonderful insights, taking your time off from your busy schedules. So, for our viewers here, if you're an entrepreneur and you are looking at either a startup consultant or a brand consultant or a corporate law consultant, it's always good to bounce off ideas with experts. And here we are. If you wish to get connected to them, the contact details are given in the description below. See you again in the next episode. Until then, take care. Bye bye.